What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to episode 6 of the Man and Nolan Show. We're excited to be with you guys all. Connor and I are now on winter break, and we're here to keep things rolling. Firstly, we'd like to talk about the NFL today. So, Connor, we saw the Bills and the Patriots play this past weekend in a big game. It's a very high scoring game. The Bucs eventually winning in overtime, but we did see Tom Brady pass Drew Brees in the all-time completions. What do you think about that?
Tom Brady went from polite New England society of just taking people out back quietly afterwards and kicking the crap out of them to just doing it in public. He's Florida man now. He's totally Florida man. I mean, just he has a whole new stigma about him ever since he's left New England, right?
Yeah.
And I think that you he's like 10 years younger in a sense. I saw on one of the comments, I think on like a Sports Center post, he's like 10 years younger than he is, and he surpassed. I'm not surprised he surpassed for Drew Brees. I mean, the guy is what? He's like, is he 43 now?
Yeah, about that. Yeah.
Yeah, he's like 43 years old, and he's still doing this stuff. And and he's not as on fire as he was last season, but he has been a very consistent quarterback. I mean, he has not had bad games. He's not had a bad season. The Bucs are what, 10-3 at this point.
Yeah.
So we see Tom Brady again, a playoff contender. I'm not sure if he's a Super Bowl contender. Wouldn't be surprised. But you see Tom Brady's a playoff contender. I'm not surprised he surpassed Drew Brees in anything. I'm not surprised that he surpasses anyone in anything at this point because he simply is the GOAT.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Yeah. I mean, I definitely agree with you, Connor. But Tom Brady, he's now getting to an age where, you know, he's entering kind of like a very like an age where we haven't seen very many old quarterbacks do this. Like
No, not at all.
we can both agree that Tom Brady is not the young buck that he once was, but he's still playing like the young buck that he once was. Like it's incredible to see because we're seeing something that no other person you know has ever seen before. Like you can't compare Tom Brady to anyone else, right? Like seriously, he has the most Super Bowl wins out of any other quarterback, and you know he's approaching to have the most Super Bowl wins in just like out of anyone that's ever coached, out of anyone that's ever owned, anyone in the NFL, and he's revolutionizing this game, and he's still giving people a run for a run to play this game. Like he's challenging people even at an older age. And although Tom Brady may have some pretty terrible games, you still see like those flashes of like holy cow, this guy is still performing elite for a 43-year-old quarterback, and
It's insane to think about. I was watching the game a couple times yesterday and being like, dude, Tom, what are you doing? You know what I mean? There are
yeah,
certain instances where I'm like, that's ridiculous. I'm like, why are you throwing the ball like that? Where are you throwing that? Who are you throwing that to? Um, but it's just kind of like, you know, but he had excellent plays yesterday. You know what I mean? And it's just kind of like he got I think he might have gotten sacked, and he starts fighting with the guy, one of the
yeah, I saw
defenders.
that. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and all of a sudden he starts fighting with him, and you know that Tom Brady says ditto, and everybody goes and kills that defender. So you don't mess with Tom Brady, but it's funny because the next player immediately afterwards, you know, pocket falls apart. He just runs the ball, and he looks no different than he did at the combine 20 years ago. But I mean, he majestically and gracefully runs the ball, and he needs some WD-40 on those joints right there. So it's just kind of it's funny. It's funny to watch, and it's awesome to watch, and it's fun to watch. He's still fun to watch after 20 years of doing this.
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely,
And my entire life, Brady. Our
definitely.
entire lives, Brady. And
Yeah.
and that's the incredible part about it, and especially growing up in New England. You know what I mean? That's just it's incredible. So what can I say? I just think Brady is something else, and I don't think we'll see something like this for a long time. I mean, you'll see guys like Aaron, you'll see guys like similar, maybe like Aaron Rodgers types who play until they're like and Drew Brees types who play until their late 30s and maybe hit the 40 mark, but they won't be playing as good as they were, and they certainly won't be on Tom Brady's level.
Oh yeah, definitely. But I think that, you know, Tom Brady still got something left in the tank. He still has something to prove, even though, even his wife told him at the last Super Bowl, what do you have left to prove? He still has that drive and that passion to play the game. And it's incredible to see. Tom Brady's not, he's not here to just, you know, kind of just win, make a lot of money. And, I mean, he has enough money to retire right now. Like the man's just playing because he loves the game. And
Yeah,
it's so beautiful to see because I think a lot of guys nowadays, they love the game, right? And they have this motivation to like, oh, I'm playing for my ex family member. Oh, I'm playing for, this, I'm playing for that. I'm playing for this reason. Everyone has their own different reason of why, and they all do love the game in a sense, right? But do they truly love the game like Tom Brady?
yeah,
Now, I think that's a good question to raise up. And it's so cool to see because he sets a good example and a good role model for a lot of other, a lot of young people, young players, young guys who want to be great, who want to chase greatness and who want a good role model to look up to.
oh yeah,
So,
and I couldn't agree more with that. Truly.
yeah.
And he's just starting to get to kind of like a point in his life. It's like he doesn't care. You know what I mean? He don't care what people think about him.
Yeah.
He's out there to play football, dude. He's out there to prove something that I could play this game for at 43 years old, 45. And excuse me, I'm not sure if he could do it that long. And if he's 45, 46, 47, I mean, I might be pushing it. But people have been saying for him to retire for 5, 6, 7 years now. So it's just kind of like, all right, it is what it is at this point. And if you could keep on playing and keep on winning the division and keep on winning championships and keep on winning titles, whatever it is, do it, dude. Just absolutely gun it and do it. And the funny part is, he's still helping out Bill Belichick.
No, yeah. Yeah. I mean, he still is with that win over the Bills. That gave the Patriots a 2-game lead over there.
Game the Pats a 2-game lead, and I think it's if the Ravens lose next week against the Packers,
Yeah.
the Pats are going to have the number one seed in the AFC.
That'll be pretty big.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
and
think about it. I mean, we see a Pats and Bucks Super Bowl potentially.
that would be probably the biggest Super Bowl in the history of Super Bowls.
It definitely will be, but this is my bold take. If that happens, if the Pats and Bucks play, right, and Tom Brady beats Bill Belichick in the Super Bowl, Tom Brady will retire. Because
Oh yeah,
at this point, the only thing he has left to prove is to Bill Belichick. And I think that is he's probably thinking it's like I've done everything I can to prove to everyone. Now all I got to do is prove to my former coach that I can beat him.
yeah, and
That gives me chills just thinking about that, Connor.
yeah, and it's crazy because I think this NFC, I think the NFC Championship is going to come down to three teams, and I think that's the Bucks, the Cowboys, and the Packers. I think that's who it's going to come down to, and it's going to who wants it more. You know what I mean? Who
Yeah.
wants it more, dude? Like who's getting in the ring? I mean, it's who's going to be fighting for that, and I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see the Cowboys get knocked out at that point. And I wouldn't be surprised to see the Packers get knocked out at that point. You know what I mean? And just watch Brady take it again. Because it's Brady.
Yeah,
It's
very
Brady.
true. Yeah. Yeah, but another note on that Bills and Bucks game to kind of wrap up the NFL here. The Bills. Now, the Bills are, I'd say this is they're very different, right?
Mm-hmm.
Watching, the Bills had a playoff run last year, they had a lot of hype around them. Oh, the Bills Mafia, the Bills are back, Josh Allen this, Josh Allen that, right? And so far this season, the Bills just haven't lived up to that hype. I think they have in a sense. They have lived up to the hype that they came into the season with. I think, Josh Allen, he's been playing his, butt off. And, they have a lot of good pieces, and they have had moments where you've been like, these guys are going to go back to the playoffs and they're going to do some damage. And but the Bills lately, they've kind of been falling apart.
Well, I think it comes down to like you're right. I mean, they have lived up to it and they haven't lived up to it. Where it's more or less that one game they're playing great, next game they lose, and it's like a repeating cycle.
Yeah.
So it's just like they're one game off from being high, a 500 team. So it's just kind of like, what are you doing here? I mean, they have the talent, and when you have wide receivers like Diggs and you have Cole Beasley, you have a good quarterback. Man can run. Man can run. Supposedly, you're supposed to have a good defense. I mean, apparently they have a good defense. I don't see that as of late. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When what was the number? What was the number I added up? It was like, what was the number
93
we came?
points over the last
93
4 games.
points. It was 93 points out of the last 4 games, and they've lost 3 out of the 4 games. That doesn't sound like a defense that's good. You know what I mean? That's that good.
Yeah, but I
So
mean, they lost their best corner a few games ago, Tre'Davious White, to an ACL tear. And when you lose a good, I mean, all pro caliber corner, I mean, that
that's
take,
true.
I
That's
mean,
true, but they've been getting beat on the run.
that's true.
They
That's
lost to the
true.
Pats entirely because of the run.
Yeah, and I mean, clearly, if you saw the post game conference afterwards, the Bills, they were mad. Like they were upset. I mean, one reporter asked like a really like dumb question, like, "Are you embarrassed by this?" And I mean, they just got up and like they were like, "Are you serious?" Like, of course, they're embarrassed. Like
Yeah,
the Bills are just not playing. I mean, especially their defense, just not playing how they should be playing.
yeah,
Of course, that's frustrating. That's probably frustrating for the defensive coordinator, the players, the coach, everyone. They're just kind of like, I mean, they literally, it takes, they're letting up points. They're not stopping the run. They're getting worn down, especially with the season going on as it is. We're in what, week uh 11, 12? Like,
no, we're past that. We're like week
okay,
4,
we're like week 13. We're in
no,
week
we're like week 14 or 15 actually.
we okay. But we're late into the season. People are tired. People have been injured. People are lost for the year.
Yeah, week 14. Yeah,
Coaches are, on the hot seat. Like the Bills just got to figure out how to keep putting it together. They're sitting at
yep,
7-6 right now. They're not totally, they're it's not a lost cause just yet, right? They're in the midst of a wild card hunt. Like, it's not a lost cause. If they drop a few more games, okay, now you're in some, pretty hot waters, but they're deep into the playoff hunt. And, you know, it's still it's still their season. They still can turn this thing around.
oh yeah.
And
You
so
still have you still have a couple weeks left of football to change it. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
To make yourself 9-6.
Yeah.
To make yourself look like a football team. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they just
And
have
that's
simple things they need to clean up.
yeah, and the defense is one of them. The defense is just totally one of them.
Yeah. And so, we'll see with the Bills, and, you know, hopefully they can put this thing together. So
Yeah.
last thing we kind of wanted to talk about today was the college football. So we have never talked about college football on the show. And we wanted to talk about today Bryce Young winning the Heisman. Now,
Yes.
this this is definitely not, this is something, a lot of people did talk about, right? Which we normally try to stay away from those headlines on the show, but you know, Bryce Young winning the Heisman as a sophomore at Alabama, on a team with Nick Saban. He's the first Alabama quarterback to win the Heisman. Um, what do you think, Connor?
Well, I mean, well, funny enough, talking about like the past and stuff like that, he was Max Jones' backup last season,
Yeah.
and he's had an incredible season. This kid is on fire. I mean, his season debut, he beat Miami. I forget what it was, but it was. I think they beat him by like at least 1 or 2 touchdowns. So this kid set an all-time new record for like the single amount of like the amount of passing yards in a game, right? I told you the number, I don't remember exactly what it is, but it was something insane. It was like 559 yards, I think.
Yeah.
So that's just insane, to watch, to see that. And as a sophomore too, this kid has 2 more years of eligibility, and he's going to use it, and he's going to be a first round draft pick if he can keep it up and stay healthy. And he's going to make it if he can get on a good team, right? A good team in the NFL, right? Or at least one that's in a rebuilding stage, right? He's going to make a name for himself.
Yeah. I mean, definitely. We've seen flashes of NFL potential in him this season, but I mean, Bryce Young is still a young guy. I mean, we did see him struggle. I mean, I was watching the Auburn Alabama game over Thanksgiving, and I gotta say, Bryce Young looked like he was struggling. But something that really stood out to me was the end of the game. They needed a touchdown to get into overtime. They did. They got it right. And then in overtime, they're trading back, and he just looked like a leader. Like he got the guys together and he was like, all right, we're gonna score now.
And that's the difference between the men and the boys. I mean, again, you see, that's what a quarterback has to do. I mean, that's what you see. That's what you've seen great quarterbacks of the past, Troy Aikman, Tom Brady, just guys like that being leaders, saying we have to win this football game. That is called to me NFL potential.
Absolutely.
When the chips
Absolutely.
are down, you lead. Say we're gonna come back and we're gonna do this.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, Bryce Young, definitely. I mean, he still has more. They're in the semifinals. They play December 31st against Cincinnati, and they'll be playing for yet another college football championship. And so we'll see what happens. And, good luck to Alabama.
Yeah, good luck to him.
Yeah. So, anyways, guys, thank you for joining us. We also wanted to talk about one more thing. So, we're having a little bit of trouble with the podcast on Spotify. And so, we're trying to get that fixed. So, that issue should be resolved in the coming weeks. We're not sure what's going on, but we're having a little bit of some technical difficulties. Um, so, this episode will not be on Spotify right away. So we just wanted to let you all know that. But anyways, thank you for joining us. Please share with your friends, like, comment, and subscribe. And we'll catch you guys in the next episode. Thank you so much for joining us.
We'll see you guys. God bless.
God bless.